Kia ora koutou katoa, nau mai, hara mai ki te ao Hākinakina, your sports show right here on your Tribal Pulse, te Korimako o Taranaki, 94.8 FM and 98.4 FM. Well, he's a well-known face and figure within our community, always willing to give a hand and support. He is a lover of all sports, but there is one sport in particular that he has a deep passion for, and that is the game of hockey, where he currently holds the role as team manager for the Black Sticks. A big warm welcome to our very own Taranaki legend, David Stones. Stonesy, welcome, mate.
Hey, thank you. Hey, thank you for having me on, mate. Hey, it's awesome.
Hey, I'm excited to have a kōrero to you, mate. You're a legend. You're an absolute legend. Hey, but before we start, ko wai koe no he koe, just a bit about yourself and where you're from.
Oh, mate. Well, I was born and bred in Pātea in Taranaki, so definitely roots go back a long way. So yeah, then from there, family were farmers, and we grew up in South Taranaki. So we've been born and bred in Taranaki and love the place. Yeah, no, met my lovely wife in New Plymouth, and then yeah, things carry on from there, mate. But always ventured back to Taranaki and did my business back here.
Awesome. Pātea, I didn't realize that. Awesome, mate. Beautiful little spot down there. So you know, as a youngster in Pātea, obviously, like, did you play all sorts of sports? You get into all different types of sports as a youngster?
Yeah, look, I wasn't there very long in Pātea. I did most of my growing up in a little place in South Taranaki called Awatuna. And if anybody doesn't know where that is, that's between Kāponga and Opunaki. So it was quite interesting. And a little place like rugby was pretty big in Kāponga and Rara, but I mean, in a place like Awatuna and Te Kere, which was next to it, a main winter sport was hockey. And that's because a couple of our parents were pretty hockey mad, and rugby wasn't even played at the school. It was quite interesting. So hockey, if you didn't play hockey, you just didn't connect. So it was quite cool.
That's awesome. Awatuna. Actually, whenever I go south, I go through Awatuna, so I know that place really, really well. That's awesome. So shucks, hockey, no rugby. I also heard you're a bit of a basketball and Taranaki Airs fan, and also a Hāti Warriors and New South Wales supporter.
Ah, yes, go the Blues. Yeah, no, definitely are a very I love the Warriors. I mean, as you would, and let's face, hopefully this is our year, mate. This is our year. But love basketball is a passion. I mean, my wife Cheryl, she got me into basketball many years ago, and look, from the BP Bears to the Mountaineers, no, we love supporting them, and it's just a great game. It's it's now basketball's the biggest growing sport in the country. It's the biggest sport in secondary schools, and it's a passion of ours as well. But no, it's a good community sport.
Awesome. Nah, it sure is. And so getting back to hockey now, so you've been involved with hockey for some time, and you currently hold the role as team manager for the Black Sticks, which is the men's national team. How did you, tell us a little bit about your journey into this role, and how did you end up in the role?
Yeah, good question. It was a number of years ago. I mean, apart from going through the grades and playing for Taranaki and developing a few little connections and friendships, of course, as you do with sport. And then it got to a stage where kids started playing, so then you gave up the game and followed it from a passionate parent perspective. Through that, a few connections, and then I started managing and coaching Taranaki representative sides, and then basically, and then when my oldest son Jamie got into some under-21 programs, I put my hand up to manage a few of these. One was for Midlands under-21 NHL program, so that's the based in Waikato. So yeah, a few little manager roles popped up as he was growing up, and then I got into managing Central PHL, Central men's hockey, and so there I had a connection with a couple of key coaches. And cut a long story short, he became a head coach of the Black Sticks. And before he applied for it, he rang me and he said, "Oh, would you like to help out if I got the role?" And I said, "Oh, look, I'm really busy, but I'll help out for a few months until you get your feet under the desk." And then 4.5 years later, I'm still doing it.
Wow, that's awesome, man. What a journey. And how it works, as a parent, starting in the sport and slowly working through.
Yeah.
So It's awesome. So, you know, being in that role, you must get to travel to some pretty special places with the team. What are some of the challenges you face in different countries, and what does the kind of team manager role entail?
Yeah, look, it's interesting because the team manager role changes all the time, and each sport is different. I mean, if you're talking to Mike Sandel for cricket, for example, it'll be different to what we do with hockey, but similar crossovers. You know, it's something that part of it is managing the health and well-being of the player. So it's making sure that the player is always, you know, basically there's no distractions for the player when he hits the plains, hits the turf, hits the tournaments. So it's making sure that he's got no distractions from, you know, school, uni, you know, personal life, work, you know, because all those sorts of things. You've got a young Kiwi coming through the ranks. He's, you know, getting through. They're not that, you know, we don't pay. You know, hockey isn't a great sport for financial, so, you know, we have to make sure that they're managed well from a health and well-being perspective. That's part of the role. Part of the role, of course, is that connection with the coaches and making sure that you know, there is the ability between the players and the coaches that flow well. Then it's all the logistical challenges we have. I mean, from booking airfares to accommodation to logistics in each country, making sure making sure the buses are turning up on time, as an example. I mean, everything you can imagine, from hopping on that plane in Auckland to getting to your hotel in Bhubaneswar in India, and making sure there's something to eat when they arrive.
Wow, that's a bit of a task there, and no better man to be in the role, that's for sure. So if you look back on when you first started in kind of the team management space, is there anything that you're doing differently now as a manager compared to when you first started? What are some of the learnings you've kind of gained along the way?
Yeah, look, a lot of the gainings, I suppose, is that the connection with the player is so important. And, you know, like it's actually finding out what, you know, like, you know, we've got a squad. We normally take about 18 to 20 players with us, and it's just making sure that they're happy and comfortable, because there's a lot of things going on in a young, you know, 18 to 25-year-old mind and life. I mean, and you know, their passion is sport. So, and our job is to make sure we help them along the journey. And the other thing that changes a lot now is that, you know, you're trying to help them with their career after their sport. I think that's really, really important, that a lot of sports have missed. Everybody's catching up, and again, you know, rugby, you know, a lot of sports are doing it now where we never used to. But that's so important. And we've always sort of done it, but we've just dabbled in it. But it's really important. You know, we have the player association now has a huge voice in our playing base with our young guys, and it's really important that we connect with them and make sure that there is a future after their sport, and two, while they're going through the great journey of being a black stick and wearing a black shirt, that all the boxes are ticked, that their distractions are well connected, they're still working on their career, and they have time to put the effort into train and be as best hockey player as they possibly can.
I love that. I love that whakaaro is, you know, caring for the person, not just the player. And it's so much bigger than the sport, isn't it? It's about life outside of sport as well. So awesome kōrero. Now you're a well-known local business owner. How have, you know, your teachings and your learnings within your time in hospitality, how has that been transferable to your role as a team manager?
Yeah, look, you're right. It's things have changed quite dramatically, and I think that you know, managing 30 odd people in hospitality, and then going through to hockey, it's actually quite cool, because at the end of the day, you're dealing with lots of young, you know, Generation Y, Z people, and you know, it's pretty cool. I mean, some people call it challenges. I look at it as opportunities, and what I've learned, and that's helped me, because I've been dealing with a lot of, you know, young people and their journeys in life, and I think it's pretty cool. So it actually segues quite nicely. And it's managing not only the players, but it's quite important that you manage the coaches and the staff as well, to connect. So sometimes, for example, the communication between between coaches or the comms team isn't quite working with the players, and they're blaming the players. Well, it's not the players; it's the way we communicate with our youth and our youngsters. So there's a real opportunity there to change and develop our technique. Whether you're 50 years old or 60 years old, you've got to adapt to deal with our youth and our youth of today, and change our way we communicate, and the comms change. So yeah, I've learned quite a bit. It's been good.
Oh, that's awesome. Good to see the commonalities between the two, areas of work that you've kind of worked in. Now, I know you know the gaming industry well, and the role it has played in supporting amateur sport, especially at a junior level. There is some stigma around this. However, in your eyes, how does this help the community, and how can community groups access funding in that to support their various sports?
Yeah, good segue. I mean, I think, look, end of the day, we're in a country where gaming or class 4 gaming or machines and pubs are here to stay, and I think that we're lucky in New Zealand in the fact that we have a regulation that 40% of the money that's raised and the local gaming through pubs, clubs, hotels, etc., go back to the community. So that's a segue into it helps our sporting environment hugely. And like if you're in Australia, that wouldn't happen in other countries. There's only 2 or 3 countries in the world that we have legislation that do that. So regardless of that, there's abilities to access funds. I mean, without that those dollars, I mean, a lot of our sports and organisations would be in trouble. So I mean, end of the day, there's it's easy to access that funding through a lot of societies throughout the country. Most of it's online, but yeah, if we didn't have it, we all would be struggling. The balance of that, there's the harm of that side, and we always, at the end of the day, what happens? We've got lots of organisations that the gaming industry fund to make sure there's help and support. So, I always say to people, one problem gambler is one too many. And it's our aim as a community to help everybody. It's not going away. We know that, the negative, I suppose, what we look at is online gaming. That's coming on board and leaps and bounds now. And the government are obviously opening up for 15 online gaming licenses in New Zealand in the next couple of years. So, that's a concern because that's not going to be managed that well. Where at least if the family or whānau walk into a hotel or pub, there's strict regulations to manage that, and we all have to look after each other. I mean, that's the key thing.
Awesome. So really good information there about that, and you're right, the importance of having that funding support for our clubs all around our nation there is really important and keeps our clubs thriving. So now you represented New Zealand at the last Olympics as the team manager for the Black Sticks. What was this experience like for you? It must have been pretty special over there.
Oh, mate, yeah, from a little boy from Pattaya going to Paris, it was pretty cool. It was quite neat. I mean, the whole journey started when we qualified for the Olympics in a place called Oman, in the Middle East, just up from the Emirates, United Emirates. So it was a pretty cool place, and we qualified there, which is amazing. So the last year was a roller coaster. I mean, been to lots of countries. We went to Poland and qualified and won the Nations Cup. We went to Malaysia, got third in the Aslan Shah tournament. So we had a lot of hockey. And then we ended up going to Spain before we went to Paris to get ready for the Olympics. Look, the Olympics were amazing. I mean, the village environment, the French, even though the media gave the French a bit of a hard time about the village, and there was a whole heap of articles about cardboard beds, but I assure you they were amazing. I mean, from a player perspective, I only get complaints if the beds are soft. If the beds are hard, that's sweet. So I mean, they were fine. The cardboard beds were amazing. So, but the French did a great job. I mean, the village was outstanding. The village campus, I mean, it was just so surreal walking down, going to breakfast, and in the athletes village, and seeing some huge, amazing athletes, walking past and saying hello, and it was just a neat vibe. It was an amazing vibe.
What an experience. What an experience. Paris, a beautiful place over there. So I'm sure it sounded like you enjoyed it. So being a team manager previously myself, and knowing the commitment it takes and the support that's needed, there are often, you know, some unsung heroes that are not often spoken about. But how important is your wife, Cheryl? How important has she been in terms of your journey in that team management space?
Yeah, well, I probably couldn't have done it if she hadn't have said yes for a start. But I mean, it's not even just saying yes. I mean, she's looked at you know, knows it's my passion. So I mean, she said, yeah, go for it. You'll never have never have an opportunity like this again. And I probably wouldn't have. So, but then there was the when I took it on, you know, I was still doing a little role in Auckland each week. I go to Auckland. We had the three bars still. And then, you know, we had the other, you know, backpackers and etc. So we had a bit going on, and so, you know, it put more workload on Cheryl 100%. And you know, she was an absolute workhorse, and Stella, you know, she just boxed on and did things, and then, you know. And you know, she was certainly an unsung hero. I mean, at the end of the day, she had to deal with a lot of rubbish when I was away, and you know, lots of conversations over the phone and dealing with lots of things. But you know, it's a tough gig running businesses and being away and having your spouse at home trying to deal with it all. So you know, it was a few times it was a bit of a challenge, that's for sure. I assure you. But in April, we decided to sell our 3 hospitality businesses, and then that was the Olympic year, so that made things a lot easier for her. So no, I wouldn't have been able to do it without her digging deep and helping out, that's for sure.
Oh, awesome. Big mihi out to Cheryl and out to all of our wives and partners that put up with all of the hard work and stuff in the background. So big mihi out to you. So if there was one bit of advice you would give someone who wanted to step into the team management space and kind of, you know, look at a career in that space, what would it be?
Good question, actually. I mean, it's a job where it's like anything. The more you put into it, the more you get out of it. And I think that, you know, end of the day, it's all about communications. I mean, you have to have great logistical skills, and you have to have, you know, obviously a good gift of the gab when you're in the your bus breaks down and you're trying to facilitate transport or whatever, or you know, the hotel doesn't cook you the right food you require, and then you're trying to facilitate trying to get a meal for your team at midnight. So there's lots of comms. Your negotiation skills have to be pretty cool. But you know, end of the day, it's all about communication. It's all about being the good guy for everybody, but having the balances that you need to say no. You need to be able to communicate with lots of players, communicate with management, and facilitate a good outcome. But you know, it's good fun. It's so cool, and the rewards are huge. And I've been lucky enough to represent my sport at the national level, and hopefully got a couple more years in the yet to do it. But it's an amazing journey, and anybody that's looking at doing it, start at whatever level you can. If it's, you know, managing your local under-15 rugby league team, going to Palmerston North, whatever you do to start with, it starts, and you only gain by doing it and gaining experience. You know, there's, you know, every little tour you get, there's little golds of nugget you pick up to be able to help you through that journey. So give it a crack, have a go, and help your community.
Awesome, Stonesy. Love the advice. Totally agree with everything you said. Now, lastly, have you ever thought about standing for council? Because I think you'd be very, very good.
Well, look, a funny little story actually. That it was the last election. Could have been the last election before, I can't remember. But I sort of talking to Cheryl. I said, "Oh, look, maybe I could give that a go. I reckon I could. You know, you always want to do something if you can add value. So it's no use just doing it for the hell of doing it, but can you add value to an organisation?" And I thought, well, maybe I could add a little value. So I thought, okay, so I got my nominations and I got my forms ready and everything was there. And then it was the last day of putting the application in to be a councillor and go into the system to be And I thought, oh, shit, okay. So I left in the morning. Cheryl said, you're going to do it? I said, yeah, I think I will. So I hopped in the car, was driving to work, and I had a couple of calls from hockey and bit work and on the way. And so I was sitting at the lights at Liardet Street, so I could turn left to go to the council to put my application on, turn right to go to work to the good home. The lights changed, and I ended up going right, and I didn't do it. And that was the closest thing I got to putting my application in to be a counsellor. So look, I've thought of it very seriously, but I'm a bit busy at the moment.
all in good time, mate. Well, I think you'd be an awesome counsellor. So maybe one day. Well, hey, thank you for taking the time to kōrero to us on the show. We appreciate you sharing the world of hockey and giving us an insight into the life of a team manager. Thank you for all you've done and all you continue to do for our community. You're truly a legend and an integral part of our community, our vibrant community, and all the very best with your future endeavours. And we look forward to following your journey.